So here's tonight's project. Got my air hose hooked up to this blue thing and all kinds of oil going every which way, this piston looking thing, and you might be wondering, what are we working on here? Well, if we come over here, we will see that there is a ginormous hole with this floppy looking thing in there. And if I take a light and shine the light in there, you can see these huge gears. And then this inner workings here, what you're seeing here is called the dog bone. This is the hydraulic supply line coming from the pump down in between the differential gears. I am fixing my 3-point hitch lift cylinder. It doesn't have any lifting power. Well, it kind of does, but it just doesn't hold. Turns out somebody a long time ago had this thing apart and they replaced the O-ring on the piston. Yesterday I had this thing out. I replaced the O-ring on the piston and I replaced all the O-rings. I bought a kit for this tractor and I replaced all the O-rings and everything in here. It still leaks here a little bit, but I've read that you can just plug the hole up with something. So I'll do that. Silicone that shut. But I've come to the conclusion, because I had this all back together again last night, and I found it to be worse than when I started before. So I started thinking, okay, what's wrong? Well, here's what's wrong. What you're looking at here is the actual cylinder. The piston goes like this into the cylinder, and the dog bone that I showed you goes right here in this cup. Okay, so there's that. The hydraulic line goes right in there where the air is, so what I did is I locked the lever up, put the air in there, and pushed the piston out with air to get the piston out. So that's easy. Okay, the way that this works, since Ferguson had the patents at the time for the 3-point hitch, I think this is a 1957, so something was still kind of goofy with their whole patent issue there, and Ford and Ferguson separating. So what you essentially have here is a 3-position, or 2-position, I guess you'd call it. It's more or less just an overglorified log splitter valve. You can think of it like that. I'm going to remove the air hose so you can see. This isn't your typical 3-point hitch setup. So this is your raise position to raise the hitch. As soon as you let go, it springs back to neutral. This is your lower position. It's got a detent there. And by adjusting this thumb nut here, up or down, is how you control your rate of drop, your speed of drop. So if you only go down a little bit, it only sets down a little bit. It's easier to do when this is mounted. And it works the same going up. You pull up a little bit, it raises it very slowly. But you go back to neutral every time. Now it does have this hole so you can lock it with a pin, and then you can run hydraulics out of there. I'm not sure how this setup works right here, because what happened is somebody plumbed, it's got a coupling here for auxiliary hydraulics on the tractor. Now it's right there, you can kind of see the coupling. And then what they did for a return is they just opened the cover right there and just dumped right back into that, leaving the cover open to all the elements, and yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so now you've got a brief idea of how this works and why it's apart. Now, onto the brass tacks, what I found. So, I put this back together again, and I've decided it's working worse now than it was before I tried working on it. What can I do, and what did I do wrong? Well, this is the direction the piston installs in this cylinder. Dog bone goes here, kind of like this. Okay? That in mind, your hydraulic oil pushes against this side of the piston, which pushes on an arm, which raises your hitch arms. I believe that seal is on backwards. And I put it on the same direction that the one that was on here was on, so I believe somebody had installed this backwards at some point in the tractor's past. So I'm going to flip it around, because when you're pushing against this, it just goes in a little bit and allows the oil past the piston. So that's not going to help you raise it. So if I flip the seal over, it should hold the oil in and allow it to hold, which is what I'm shooting for. So wish me luck. So right here you're about to see that my repair was successful, and the hitch goes up perfectly fine. It holds. Life is good, and I'm very happy. So what we have left to do to the Fordson is I've got to replace the head gasket and split the transmission and fix the seals, and I'm going to have a good tractor that's ready to be used for mowing or plowing or whatever I need it for. So I can't wait to have this one done. And I also plan to use it for maybe entering in antique tractor pulls or something. Just have fun with it.